Russell Wilson has to be the cringiest player in NFL history. Not only that, the worst teammate in NFL history. We were listening to Marshawn Lynch talk about him with Russell Wilson. And then you tell that story because you were the one who initially told it to me.
Yeah, so Marshawn Lynch was on Richard Sherman's podcast. Obviously, Legion of Boom era, part of probably the best time of Russell Wilson's career.
Right.
Marshawn Lynch, and really anytime he wanted to reach out to a player, he has their number. He can reach out to them. Russell Wilson was the only player that he ever played with where he couldn't get in direct contact with Russell Wilson. He'd get in touch with his agent, he'd get in touch with his parents, get in touch with his team, get in touch with Russell Wilson's team, but couldn't get in touch with him. And when you do that, that builds a wall around you and your teammates. It puts you on this pedestal. It also makes you reserved. And when I heard that, a lot of my opinions of Russell Wilson and what I thought he was changed. Because we have players, we have all, Tom Brady, for example, right? Given all of his struggles this past year, but throughout his entire career, doesn't put himself above the team. Doesn't put him in the sense where you have a rookie wide receiver who wants to learn with him and catch passes with him. He'll do that with them, So someone like Tom Brady, who's, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We have the Patrick Mahomes of the world. We have the Josh Allens, all of these incredible players. Peyton Manning, even back in his day, same idea. You should be able to reach out to your teammates, especially somebody who's a leader on your team. And Russell Wilson, when I heard about that, I sold all of my stock on what I thought Russell Wilson was. Now it's clear he's a bad teammate, and it's kind of just a game of just it's all about him.
Yeah. Imagine if you're trying to get a hold of your coworker to ask him a question about a project you guys were working on, and then you have to go through your boss or their manager to actually get in contact with them to see if they were available to talk about it. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, better yet, imagine you're trying to make plans with your boys, right? Well, I guess this is kind of what it was like when you're like young kids and you're like, yo, do you want to go to the mall with me? Or, let's go see the new horrible Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Or let's see Black Adam or something, And it's like, all right.
Or Alvin and the Chipmunks. When you were in middle school.
Yeah, Alvin and the Chipmunks, right? And you have to talk through their mom for like, hey, can you tell, Timmy, hey, do you want to watch this movie with me? It's like this whole screening process that just rubs me the wrong way. But back to this game. Yeah, this Broncos offense with Brett Rypien instead of Russell Wilson. I blinked. I couldn't tell if Russell Wilson was out there or not. Because the only difference is that Brett Rypien looked exactly the same. Looked exactly the same. 50% completion rating, no touchdowns, interception, offense anemic, defense keeping you in the game.
Yeah. It's like you expect Brett Rypien not to be able to pick up a blitz, but Russell Wilson can't even do that anymore. No. And especially if you're forcing your way to a new team and then they start to hear all these stories of your teammates talking about you, and then there's all this drama surrounding you, and then Russell Wilson gets a 5-year extension before the season even starts. Talk about highway robbery and just dumb on the Broncos. Seems like the Broncos were desperate for a quarterback, didn't even vet this guy, didn't even talk to sources, didn't even see what type of teammate he was, and now they're stuck with a quarterback who hasn't even proven he can be the driving factor behind a championship team. Russell Wilson's never been the leader in the locker room. That's always been Bobby Wagner, Richard Sherman, Martellus Bennett,
Cam Chancellor,
Earl Thomas, Marshawn Lynch, even Doug Baldwin,
Percy Harvin.
Yeah. And then my thing was, I was like, wait a minute. Russell Wilson's played awful with the Broncos this year. Awful. What would we be saying if he was playing this bad with the Seahawks? And the Seahawks were just terrible and looked as bad as the Broncos have. And the Broncos have a really good roster. There's no excuse for them to look this bad. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they have weapons. It's like, there's no excuse for it, but like, If he was doing the same thing in Seattle, we'd be ripping Pete Carroll. We'd be calling the offensive line in Seattle trash. We'd be saying he has no weapons when he has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. That is nothing to sneeze at. That's a top duo. That's a top 10 wide receiver duo in the NFL. And you have Gerald Everett at tight end, I believe. He's on the... Oh, you had him last year.
They have Will Disley.
Yeah, you have Will Disley, who's fine. And your defense has actually played pretty good this year. And it seems like they've hit on their draft, and everyone's
almost
playing
everybody
really well.
on the draft is hit. That corner that they got in the 6th round, Tariq Wooden.
Yeah. So it's like now that they're sitting at 4-3, they just beat the Chargers, who are supposed to be world beaters this year. I wonder what happened to that. And they look completely anemic and inept versus the Seahawks. What would we be saying if Russell Wilson was making them look terrible? It's like, that's where you have to pull back and add some context.
Yeah, I mean, if Russell Wilson was still with Seattle, we'd be saying fire Pete Carroll. And I guarantee that if he was still with the Seahawks, Pete Carroll would be fired after this season.
Right. So Pete Carroll kind of saved his job by not extending Russell Wilson. And then Geno Smith, he's looked better than you.